Hey everybody, welcome back to Sparks Wire and Baling Wire. This video is going to have nothing to do with anything with orange paint on it, as I said in my last video. This is an 8 3/4 Chrysler rear end that is going to go in my 64 Dodge Polara. This came out of a 64 Plymouth Belvedere, the same car that I had my spare engine that I'm also building for my Polara in. And I don't know why, but at the time we stripped that car down, I saved this rear end out of it. And now I'm glad I did, because I'm going to be putting it to use. I'll show you what we're going to be doing here. This original differential out of the car is an open diff. So we're going to be changing that to a sure grip, or limited slip rear end, for you non-Chrysler folks. And this is, there's 3 different cases used for these. And the last 3 numbers are the ones everybody looks at. It's stamped right there. This one's a 741. There's a 741, 742, 489. Which the 489 is the most popular one because that's the heaviest duty. It's got a bigger pinion in it. Where the 741 has the smallest pinion, but I'm not going to worry about that because this car is never going to have slicks on it. It's not really going to see any abuse whatsoever other than the occasional traction test that it might be subjected to. But other than that, this will be just fine, and that's what I got, and everybody knows how cheap I am, so this is what I'm using. My next decision to use this was I had planned on putting a 323 gear in the car. Figured that would be a fairly decent highway gear. And when I pulled this out of that old 4-door sedan, I assumed this was probably a 273 because that was one of the most common gear ratios Chrysler used. It's a real high, it's a good highway gear. But it's nothing as far as performance goes. Once I got to looking at this, I discovered it is not a 273. It's a 293. They're stamped right here somewhere. I think every gear set has this. It don't matter if it's Ford, Chrysler, Chevy, whatever. But right on the edge, they'll be stamped. Here it is, 293. I know I wanted a 323, but the only difference is 30. So that's just that much. Nobody's really going to know the difference, are they? So I'm going to run it. Not to mention, with these 741 cases, I've only found 2 aftermarket gear sets you could buy. One's a 355 and the other's a 373, and then we're both higher, a lower gear than what I want to run. The car has a 410 in it right now, which would be great for performance, but if I get on the interstate with it now, even with the taller than stock tires that I have, I'm running over 3,000 RPM just at 60 mile an hour. And if I get on the interstate, it's just screaming. And I don't want that because I want to be able to cruise down the interstate like every other car on the road. So there's my decision to run this gear set. Plus they're in good shape yet. So that's what it is. It's not ideal, but I think it's going to be plenty adequate for me. I haven't done the math yet to actually see what my engine RPM is going to be with my tire size. But I'm not entirely sure I'm even keeping the same tire size I have, so that could change down the road too. But I'm going to run this, so we'll be rebuilding that here at some point in this video. I don't know how this is going to work. Probably going to be doing this in 2, maybe even 3 videos. We'll see how it goes. I know the last 2 tractor videos I did, I broke that apart because I didn't realize it at the time, but if I would have made that in one video, it would have been over 40 minutes long. And I know most people aren't going to watch that long a video, and I don't blame them because I wouldn't either. Especially the low quality ones like what I'm producing. So I'll probably put a brake in here at some point. I might probably dedicate one just to this, would be my guess, because I'm going to have to take this gear set out. You have to reset your pinion depth. I got all new bearings, everything for this. So I have to reset the pinion depth. I'll go through all that, setting the backlash on the gears. This is fairly involved, so that'll be its own video. Now on to the rest of what I got. This is obviously an old drum brake car. Not going to be anymore, it's going to be disc brakes. And these 8 3/4 came out in 1957, I believe. Ran up through 74, something like that. But the original ones had what was called a tapered axle. So this would have stuck out of the end of the housing out here. Backing plate would have been back there obviously. And then your brake drum and hub and everything is keyed and fit on that tapered axle. Now everybody says get rid of them because they're junk, you don't want them. Well, bull. The old super stock Dodges ran these, and they had slicks on them, and they're running 426 max wedges. They're seeing all kinds of abuse, and they held up just fine. And what I've seen some guys do is they'll take these drums. The biggest headache with them is to service the brakes. You have to pull this off. You have to have a special puller to pull it off, and it's not fun, trust me, because it took me quite a while to get these two off. But what a lot of guys are doing is this drum and hub, it's pretty rusty, so it probably isn't showing up very well. But these studs are swedged in there, holding that drum and hub together. A lot of guys will cut them off, punch them out, put your standard press-in studs in there, and then they can use a regular drum from Napa, O'Reilly's, wherever, and get by with them just fine. And I thought about doing that even with this, but the disc brake setup I bought takes a different bearing, which is commonly known through the Mopar guys, or it's called the green bearing, or your original is a tapered roller bearing, which is ideal, I think. But the axles I'm going to be using have these green bearings, which is just a roller ball bearing, so it's not as good for your thrust load. But there again, I'm not going to be autocrossing this car, so I don't really care. I think they're going to work fine for me. They said the original ones they had a lot of problems with, but I guess the ones they're running now, it's an actual different manufacturer bearing. Supposedly they're better. I don't know. But I'll show you what I'm going to be running there. Little backstory before I get into the goodies here. I looked on Marketplace, Craigslist, about every other place I could find, trying to buy a whole rear end before I decided to do this. And one of my problems is there's an assortment of widths of these rear ends. They're both the overall width, the spring perch width. Varies a lot from different car to different car, or different years. And really the best option I found was up in Minnesota, which would have been 4 hours away. It would have fit my car, had a 323 sure grip in it. I wanted $1,200 for it. Well, fortunately I already had this rear end out of a car that was given to us, so it was free. And I don't have $1,200 worth of parts here. And that sure grip I'm looking at would have been 50 years old. You don't even know if they're good or not. So that's where I decided I'm just going to use this one I got, rebuild it. So we'll get to the parts. Starting from the outside in. Got my parts from Dr. Diff. He's pretty popular online. A lot of you have probably heard of him if you're watching this type of video. But I got brand new axles, cut to length for what I needed. The green bearing and backing plates already pressed on there, so that's ready to go. New studs. That's the other thing I never mentioned. Up until 1970, the driver's side of these old Mopars had left-hand thread lug nuts. I don't know why. I've heard plenty of theories. None of them necessarily make sense or justify why they would have did it, but they did. I'm getting rid of that, because that's always a pain, especially if you go to a tire shop nowadays. These kids look at you like you're nuts when you tell them that, and they don't want to believe you because they've never heard of such a thing. But anyway, got 2 brand new axles ready to go. Next up here, I got 2 brand new backing plates. The emergency brake is a small drum type setup. That'll go inside the rotor. These are brand new, and these are supposedly what a Ford Explorer uses. What years, I don't know, but they just call it the Ford Explorer brake setup. So that's what I'm using. Got 2 of them here. 2 new gaskets to go in the ends of the housing. So got them. All kinds of stuff in here. This is basically just a hardware set. Nuts, bolts, 2 new stainless steel braided brake lines. You know, when you look under there and see that steel braided stuff, you just know the car goes faster that way. So I've got all that and some instructions. Make sure I throw them away quick. Well, let's see, here's the new Y block, the distribution block. Steel lines will go out each side of that. And then another stainless flex hose will come up to the steel line coming back on the frame of the car. And there's a new vent bolt in there. The bolt that holds that block in is also your vent for the differential. Got that. 2 new seals. There's an inner seal goes in each end of the housing. Keep the gear lube from getting out to there. And then these bolts for this disc brake setup are also going to have to be changed out, so I got all new bolts for that. So there's that. Here's the new rotors. The emergency brake will go inside this little drum here. And then the rotor itself will be your actual main braking. I paid the extra 20, 30 bucks, whatever it was, for the drilled and slotted rotors, because there again, the car goes faster. And that's just an invoice, no instructions there. Thought about making a book to keep track of all of my expenses on this car as I restore it, but you know what, you really don't want to know anyway. I'll probably keep them though, just in case I need to go back to look for anything. The other good thing with using the Explorer type disc brake setup, down the road if I need pads, all I got to remember is that go to the auto parts store and I can get pads. Or if I'd have bought one of them online eBay Chinesium ones, who knows what it would take to get brake pads for them. I don't know if it's an off-the-shelf part or not. Didn't even research it that far. I just didn't want them. I wanted this. Dr. Diff was cheaper anyway. It's American parts. He's not sponsoring me in any way, but if you would happen to be watching and wants to throw me something, hey, you know where I'm at. Here's the calipers. Nothing special there. The pads are already in there. A little foam piece holding it all together. The only option on these was black. I thought about painting them red because, like the drilled slotted rotors and stainless brake lines, it goes faster if it was red. But the more I thought about it, I think I'm just going to leave them black. I'll see what it looks like once it's all assembled. I can always paint them if I want to, but for right now I'm leaning towards just leaving them black. Plus I believe that might be a powder coat finish on there, so it's probably pretty durable. So we'll see. Need a knife. Here's the fun part. A brand spanking new sure grip unit. Which that'll be going in the differential sitting over there. So that'll be part of that video. New gasket. I add these back here too. These are the cables for the emergency brakes. These are just a black rubber coat. But seem to be pretty good quality stuff. More gaskets for the end of the housing. I ordered these because I didn't realize they were included with my new axles. And when I unboxed the axles, I found them, so now I got an extra set of these. And oh, this is the bearing seal bolt kit for the ring gear. This will all be part of the differential video. Comes with the little yellow paste for checking your backlash and all that. It's got a little brush to put it on. Little tube of gasket sealer. Just everything you need. Alright, this video I think I'm probably going to end right here. It's fairly short and to the point. I don't know a lot of what footage I got, what it's going to edit down to. I really don't want to dive into anything else yet. The next one I will probably go to rebuilding that differential. In the meantime, off camera, I'll get this cleaned up, painted. I'm just going to do the chassis. It's not flat, I think it's like a semi-gloss black is what I'm going to use on here. I don't even have that yet. I'll wire brush this off, get it cleaned up. Probably put a little Pour 15 on it, because I'm sure I'm not going to, around the spring purchase at least, I'm not going to be able to get in there and get all the rust out. So I'll get that cleaned up, ready to go off camera. We'll do the differential next video. And then I'm thinking I'll probably do another video after that of assembling the whole thing and getting it ready to go. I got this little stand here that I made. Just 'cause this stuff gets awkward to work on. So I made this little stand, that way when it's done, I can just pick it up with the forks on the skid loader, put it in the other shed for now, then it'll be out of the way and ready to go for when I actually get the car in here and start working on it. The reason I'm starting at the back end, that spare engine I had, which I briefly showed that in a video a long time ago. I don't even remember what video it was in, but anyway, I briefly talked about it. Well, I've been collecting parts, throwing stuff together. Finally got it to the machine shop, and they did all the machine work on it. Well, it's not done yet. The block's done. They bored it out. It's going to be a stroker motor. I bought a 4-inch stroker crank for it. And they bored it out. I just had them bore it out to what it would take to clean it up. I could have had them bore it more, but I thought, why do that? Then if something happens down the road, that engine's done for then, unless somebody would want to sleeve it or something. Anyway, so I know what my cubic inch is going to be. I'm not going to reveal that yet because I'll be making videos on that when I get to it too. But anyway, the block's done. They ordered the pistons, which had to be custom ordered. And I took the crank and rods, which I had purchased already and had sitting here. So they're going to balance the whole rotating assembly for me at the machine shop. I haven't discussed all the details with them yet. I want to assemble this engine myself so I can make videos on it. But I don't know how that's going to work because they probably won't stand behind anything if I assemble it myself. And part of the deal is they have an in-shop dyno over there that I want to see what this is going to run when it is built. They told me the number they think it's going to be. And if it's what it is, I will be beyond tickled. As I told them, I want my cake and eat it too, basically. I said I want as much horsepower as I can get, but I still want it to be a reliable driver, because that's what it's going to be most of the time, with the exception of the occasional traction test that I mentioned earlier. Anyway, I'm rambling here. So to get this video wrapped up, I told everybody in my last video that the next video is going to be about this. And this is entirely what I started this YouTube channel for when I first thought about it. Probably a year before I started making videos, so probably a good 5 years ago. Then I decided I'd make this channel and start doing a few odds and ends videos just to practice my editing skills and speaking in front of a camera. And here I am 4 years later, still can't edit very well, still not comfortable speaking in front of a camera. But I managed to trick a few thousand of you into watching my videos all the time. Don't know what happened, but it did. I know a lot of you guys are here strictly for Alice Chalmers content, because that was a pretty popular series I did on that WD-45. And I know a lot of people are waiting for future videos on the C I'm working on now. But right here behind me is the whole reason I started my YouTube channel, so I hope some of you guys will stick around to watch this, because I think it's going to be a good journey. But anyway, I'm done rambling for now. So I'll take this home, edit it, and try and get it uploaded for everybody to watch. Oh, also, I'm hoping here, I changed my mic. I bought this new mic setup, which I really like, because my sound was really terrible with my original setup I had. So I bought this Rode mic. It's probably the best you can get for the least amount of money, which that's what I'm all about. But I noticed clipping it up here, you can hear every single breath I take, and that irritates me, and I cannot get it edited out of the videos. So my last video, I clipped it clear down here, and it really wasn't any different. And it's supposed to have that cat whisker thing, or whatever they call them, that little fur ball on it, but I cannot get mine to stay on. It always falls off. So this video I've been trying, I just have it clipped on my pocket. So hopefully that'll get away from picking up some of that other stuff and still work good. So we're going to see there. So anyway, now I'm done rambling, so I'm going to go edit this video, upload it, and you watch it. Catch you next time.